What up, guys? I'm working quick. I got a lot going on. I'm gonna try to bring y'all along for just a little part of this because we need to talk about flares. Process chiller. That's why you didn't get the whole service call. This is a mess. It's old. It was leaking here. I was able to isolate. I got a valve. I got a small leak over there I'm not gonna be able to do anything with on that little gate valve down there. But I was able to fix this leak, and we had a small leak here. I gotta get my sight glass back in. This is my oil pressure switch here. Blah, 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 blah. Got to make a flare. This flare I was not happy with once I took it off. It's got an edge on it. It's okay if you look at it. It's not awful, but it could be better. I mean, it goes over it, but I've got a little lip there, and I'm afraid. I was getting hits around it too. The first thing before I disturbed anything was I brought my leak detector up here and got that leak detected because I figured I had a leak. I saw some oil. So I'm gonna set y'all up like here or somewhere. I'm gonna lay my phone down. I'm not doing no tripod shit. We ain't playing that game today. We're gonna make a flare. I'm losing my fucking mind. So to start off, I cleaned it up. Cleanliness is your best friend when you're doing this stuff. I've got enough room to play with, so I'm just gonna cut me a good piece off here and get back to a good copper stove. We're not doing none of that battery powered, even the clutch type. We're going old school. We're gonna make a flare. Like everybody ought to know how to make a flare anyways. This is typically leaking on a ductless, which isn't nearly as frustrating. But when the process cooler goes down, or chiller, it's got to run now. I just happened to, this is middle of the day. I got here like, I don't know, 11 o'clock. And once I found the leak, I thought, got a little bit of time. There's a big tank down below me full of oil. And this chiller has plate evaporators that go down into that oil and keep that oil cool. So the biggest thing we want to do is keep everything out of line, obviously. Clean it up real good, make sure it's clean. And then really the biggest trick that everybody misses is deburr the thing, clean up the inside, and clean up the outside of your pipe. However you do that. This is like a 5/16, I believe. This isn't quite quarter. And sometimes we can come in with the old school because that might work a little better on this small tubing. But cleanliness is your best friend, and getting rid of that inside and outside. That's what I could feel when I had it off and felt it. I could feel that lip from where it was cut. It was never deburred from the beginning. And this thing was leaking worse on the actual compressor here, but so I fixed my biggest leak. I just figured I had this loose and we were gonna make it as right as possible. And you just gotta take your time and make sure everything's clean. Other than that, it's pretty simple. It's not real complicated. You want a clean, flat mating surface to go back on the other end. See a little bit of stuff left in there. I'll be able to get some of it out. I can also purge a little bit with this gate valve. That's the way we're gonna have to do it anyways. Rick went down and dirty on y'all last video. This is what we're doing today. Down and dirty is what he said. I like it. 'Cause this is gonna get purged from here to here. We're cranking this thing back on. There ain't no waiting, there ain't none of that shit happening. So we got our tool here. Like I said, think we're not 3/8. Gonna be one of these. Maybe it's quarter. Maybe it's quarter. I think it's quarter. Yep. I don't know how well y'all can see. It's too small. This is just right. Not much. You can see just a little bit of that tip. That's what you're gonna flare, and it's gonna lay down inside of there. This is your flare. This is gonna be your mating surface here. So you want just a little bit above that. And it's not hard to practice this stuff. Everybody's got a little bit of 3/8 or something on their truck. Go practice. You do this a couple times, you won't have any more problems. You'll be making flares like a pro without all that battery powered crap. And this costs you half the price too. So we're just gonna crank down on everything. Tighten it down slowly, make sure we're at level, even, everything looks good. And then we're not going to over crank this thing. We're just going to get a good flare. Once it stops, it stops. Don't crank down on it. It doesn't need to go any further than that. You'll put a lip on the back of that flare and you're going to have problems. Boom. Now, my lip's kind of jacked up too. And I think it's because the copper was so thin. I think I overdid it when I cleaned and reamed the inside. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but I got a spot right there. So we're gonna have to redo it. But other than that, the flare looks good. The outer edge of my copper just got too thin. I overdid it with my reamer. So we want to be a little easier with that. And that's why it takes practice. I don't make these flares all the time either. But if you see, that's a good flare. It's a much better flare than I had before. So we're gonna clean and ream again. We're gonna be careful. I overdid my outer edge last time, so just a little bit to get that spot off of the inside from your cut, and just a little bit on the outside. Let's not make it too thin because we want a good thick mating surface. Get everything out of there. Can still feel a little lip. We're not going to put too much pressure, but maybe just a little bit of this. Alright, I'm happy with that. Let's give it another shot. Second time's a charm, right? First one looked pretty good. Just that mating surface wasn't perfect. So again, we got it just a little bit past that. We're gonna turn. Once we stop, we stop. Don't crank down on it. You will create a lip there. That should be all it takes. This is pretty small copper too, so it doesn't take much to get you a good flare without too much of a lip. Just like so. Now, just from my tool, kind of burred up some of this stuff, but it's gonna be fine. We're gonna clean it up a little bit on it. Just a little sand cloth. Get everything good. really hanging out in there. And we're gonna nyalog like usual. Like I said, that looks good. I like it better than what we had before. Nyalog the back, lube it up, tighten it down, a little bit of nyalog on the threads, and be done with it. Leave tray better find it. See y'all next time.